Good afternoon, and welcome to this live broadcast, a three-country ride to cure breast cancer, presented by SpotLink and benefiting the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Today is part of our special Morning Mingle series. We have the pleasure of speaking with John Jaques. Yeah, he's the proprietor of Hansom House here in Dennysville, Maine. John, can you tell us a little bit about Dennysville?
Well, General Benjamin Lincoln, Washington's second in command, came up here to establish the border with Canada and for the St. Croix River, and in the process he saw the land and whatnot, and it's the head of the river here, so for logging and whatnot, and he ended up buying the 3 towns out here and settled it right after the Revolution. So that's the basic history.
Goes back a long ways.
Oh, yeah.
So we're here in the Hansom House, which you've called, and I think rightly so, the most absurd bar in the world, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, the other place I had in Southampton was different magazines and news articles would be written about it, and they would say it was different and unusual. And I said that if I had the chance, I could really make something that was a little different. So I set out to build the most absurd bar in the world as a sculpture. The plan was only to be open for 2 weeks. If I'm having a good time, 3, and now it's 8 years, 10 years.
Okay.
So that's about the thing. This is the house itself. It was built in 1798, so it's pretty much all original.
Wow.
So all I did is add this room on.
Okay. Mind telling us, Ron, can you kind of take a look around here and tell us about what are some of the more notable things you have in here that you're proud of?
I'm proud of?
Or that you want to talk about?
Oh, the ship here. This is a model of there used to be 3 shipyards in town here years ago, and that was one of the second to the last boat made in the community. Yeah, the shipyards are gone, lumber yards are gone. Once the wood went, everything went. The stuff hanging up, there's about 1,000 pieces, and everything is in relation to each other, sizes and whatnot. Each thing has its own space. People ask me to describe it, and it's kind of difficult to describe because
I would agree with that.
It's more or less designed for the interaction of the people with the objects. In other words, the whole place is dependent on people to function as a sculpture. So I'm kind of forced into staying in business. Otherwise, what do I do with it? You know? So the window I made, that was 13 years spent on that, and it was made for nighttime. The round sphere is focused light source, and with the darker background at night, they tend to look like they're floating. And the only problem I found was you can't have reflected light from the room on it. So after 13 years, I discovered the only way that the window worked as an illusion was to ruin the room. So that's that. So
It looks beautiful in a strange way, but
that's all it's supposed to be, in a strange way. It's supposed to be interesting. That's all. That's the theme of it. There was different reasons why I did different things the way I did them. It was a learning process. If you look at how it changes in the background was what was the work in it, not the picture part of it so much. Integrating the circles.
So is there something up here in the ceiling that you're especially fond of, but that most people don't notice?
Fond of? No, that's all. To me, it's stuff. My wife doesn't like to hear this, but to me, if you can't eat it and it doesn't keep you warm, it's junk. So it doesn't matter if it's antiques, art, or whatever. It's the things that make life kind of enjoyable, but it's not an essential to life. Or what makes it's really all about people is what my theme was, I guess, in this place more than anything.
And how many items do you have up here?
I can only estimate there's about 1,000. Counting the wood was part of the stumps and stuff. I guess that because I made it by, there's 11 aluminum grids that are on a winch, so I could lower it and work at this level and raise it. And the only one that still works, because they overlapped, is the last one with the chandelier, so I could change the light bulbs. But yeah, there was something like 110 on that, so I estimated 1,000.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I did not count.
Huh.
So,
Yeah.
I tend to get into projects that take time, and that was 7 years doing that.
So even when you come in here, it's a little interesting in some of the statues and stuff you have out there, but this is certainly the most odd of the rooms.
There's nothing worse than when you go into a bar, you sit down, there's no one there to talk to, the place is boring, and the bartender, you really don't even want to talk to him. But you're stuck with that beer you just bought. Well, I've given you a beer's worth of stuff to look at. If you order a second beer, that's your problem. But I'll cover the one.
And then you had live music in here last night too, which was nice to hear.
Tim, yeah, he does pretty much classic, and then later on, he'll once the older crowd takes off, he goes into Jimi Hendrix and a lot of his own creative works. Where did he just have that?
He's a composer also.
Yeah, he just down in Texas.
He was got
Yeah.
commission to compose
Yeah.
for the Jaques Symphony Orchestra.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I only people close to the mic can probably get this, so our viewers might not hear some of that. So just talking about the background of the person that was playing last night. So what's it like running this bar? What do you do? What does it take from you to run it?
Not much. I had to paying the bills. I guess that's the important part.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
You have so many interesting things up here, and it's very, very clean. How do you keep all of this dust free? Because it looks.
You keep it dark.
Dark, okay.
Yeah, someone asked me how I dusted it. No.
No.
That's called ambiance. It's
Very
yeah.
neat from here.
But
Well, of course, we're doing this whole ride from Tijuana to St. Stephen, Canada, to cure breast cancer by promoting the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. Is there anything about our cause that's personal to you?
well, my father was a surgeon, so it was like he used to do an awful lot of abdominal cancer work. So I'm aware of it. I personally haven't been. I guess my wife's mother.
Okay.
But other than that, not personally involved with cancer. Been very fortunate.
Okay. Well, glad to hear that. That's good. So tomorrow we're heading to St. Stephen. Do you have any advice for our journey?
You should be interviewing my wife at this point.
Well, come in if you
Yeah.
want to talk.
Come on
yeah.
in.
Make sure you have your
Rescue me
passports.
here.
If you plan on coming back in, have all your paperwork.
Okay. And your name?
I'm Melinda,
I'm Melinda. Good to
Yeah.
meet you.
and I don't know, St. Stephen's kind of a working class town, I think. They have a chocolate museum,
Yeah.
and then if you go a little further down the coast, it's St. Andrews by the sea, very charming 19th century Canadian seaside village.
Okay.
But we don't cross the border too often.
All right. Well, thank you for that. So one final question. Is there a weird fact you know and want to share?
A weird fact. Along what lines?
Whatever you want. Open question.
hobby, could tell
Any
Well, my hobby, I guess, is I like creating things, illusions. Like the whole idea of this was that there wouldn't be any ceiling. So I tried to hide it by using pieces blocking each other. The window was to create an illusion. The one that worked the best was probably the one that didn't work the best. I had a hallway to my other business, and I cut all the molding down. I lowered the ceiling down. The door was actually where the wall went. And the problem was it worked so good, it rugged everything, the whole walls. people would walk in and they'd be ducking. And I'd ask them why they were ducking, and they didn't know, because when they opened the door, the whole wall opened up. So anyway, but I like kind of, I guess I designed the place. I don't want people to feel they wasted their time coming here. So there's something of, I don't like being bored, and I would assume that if people stay longer than that one drink, they're not bored. But I guess it depends who you're with too, doesn't it? Yeah. And that's about it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks. Certainly, everyone out there, if you're ever in down east Maine, check this place out. I couldn't even begin to describe it, and you'll have that same problem when you talk to your friends once you come here.
Video doesn't do that.
Yes, not at all. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Completely welcome. I'll go back out in the woods now.
So just a reminder, no morning mingle tomorrow morning. We're going straight to St. Stephen tomorrow. We will have our noon live from the road update. We'll have a evening recap tonight at 8, mostly for the people who missed this. And then we'll have our meeting, our end of ride celebration in St. Stephen starting at 4 p.m. Atlantic time, 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. So see you at our 8 p.m. tonight. Bye.